Grace in the East, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory be to the Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well and sincerity taught us this truth. And Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect, 144,000 men, as well as 1/3 men, women, and children, maintaining themselves, keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes to the best of their ability. It's your brother Yerami Kazak back well for another edifying lesson through the spirit, power, and strength of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Once again, Yahawah's name means He is, He exists. It's the Father's name. The Son's name is Yahawashi. That means He saves, He delivers. And the Holy Spirit is Rakah Kadash, a spirit that's holy, a spirit that's set apart. This lesson will be it's a series that I'm starting. Okay, it's going to be entitled The Kings of the Earth. Okay, and I'll touch on some of the powerful, wealthy families, Edomite families that exist on this planet. Okay, because let's start it out with Job 9:24. You have what you know as rulers on this earth. Okay, this is Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Now, the true judges, the true people that's supposed to rule and reign on this planet and this universe is the Israelites. That's the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But as you can see, we're not in rulership right now. Okay, we're below due to the curses and due to our disobedience, right? So what do you have now? You have the wicked in rulership. Okay, let's support that with Proverbs 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. So what are you seeing right now? You're seeing a planet that's in mourning. You have this wicked king, right? The king of Babylon at the point in time, DJT, Nero 47, he gave a deadline to Iran, okay? And told them you can't produce nuclear weapons. So it's him using his rulership power in that sense of we are the rulers of this planet and what we say goes, and they're proud, man. As it says, they're more stout than their fellows. These American Edomites are extremely prideful, extremely proud, and they're bullies in that sense of where what they say go, they go, hey, we saw them dethrone a whole government with Venezuela and several other governments, which look at what they're doing to Cuba right now. Okay, that's the tribe of Manasseh. They putting them through it, starving, because they want that central bank over there. The same for Venezuela. They want that central bank over there, right? The same for Iran. They want that central bank over there, right? Now, it's important to understand that you do have, right? It's not they call it a conspiracy, okay? It's a conspiracy fact. It's the truth. You have a set number. You have a certain bloodlines that definitely do rule this planet, okay? And they are the Edomites. Matter of fact, let's go to Genesis, the 36th chapter. Okay, and let me see where the Duke's at. Go down here, verse 15. Well, I start at 9. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. So Esau is the father of the Edomites. Okay, so that whole lineage, the so-called YT man today, not just because you have lighter skin, that does not make you an Edomite. All right, your lineage has to go back to Esau. All right, to go back to these bloodlines, to go back to these these dukes, right? So, in your spirit to show that you're an Edomite, you know what I'm saying? So you have what you call 18 nations upon this planet. You have a table of nations. It's 18 nations on them, and Edom, okay, is one of those nations, and it's actually the nation that's deemed for destruction, right? That Yahawah is not gonna, he's just gonna get rid of them at the end of the 1,000-year reign, Okay. And the nation that he's going to save, he's about to save right now, is the nation of Yasharahla, Israel, which is the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Right? Now, verse 10. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Adar, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Bashamath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Taman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kanaz. And Tanah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's sons. And she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adar, Esau's wife. Now, Amalek is what? Amalek is the chief, the head of these Edomites. That's who you know as the small hats, the tiny tops, right? Amalek. Now, let's see what the Most High said about Amalek, okay? And to show you their wickedness. This is Exodus 17 and 16. For he said, because Yahawah have sworn that Yahawah will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. All right? So it's not going to stop, right? This ultimate battle has been brewing forever. It's been going on forever since the garden, right? With Edom being the really the first of the nations. The scriptures actually states that. You know, let me see if I can go find that. Amalek. That might be in the Apocrypha. No. This is Numbers. It's in Numbers. Numbers 24 and 20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. And that's stating what I just said, right? That Amalek, he was the first of the nations, but he's going to ultimately be destroyed forever, you know? And it's several scriptures we could get to support that, is because Amalek has a perpetual hatred in the Edomites in general, right? When it's talking about Amalek in that case, it's talking about the Edomites in general. Edom, all of them, they have a hatred, and they have it's war against them from generation upon generation. Okay, so this is Amos 1 and 11. Thus saith Yahawah, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. So Edom, you know, these Edomites, their mindset is, it's like F you forever. That's how they move, right? And it doesn't matter, whenever they're reincarnated, regenerated, you know, they're on it. They're set. Their mind is set on wickedness. The scriptures also states that they are estranged from the womb. This is Psalms 58 and 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. So they're automatically wicked as babies, coming fresh out. You know, they own it. They like, yo, where Israelite at? Let me get to them. That's how they are. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, you know? And they're always compared to that of a serpent, okay? So like, yeah, in the garden, they was called a serpent, but that word actually, nakash, which goes into them being a warlock, goes into them being a witch, right? Performing spells, divinations. This is how they move. And they're still doing that today, using nothing but witchcraft and divination to cast a covering cast on individuals, man, to blind them. These are strongholds, and you know, they move off of that. So it's spiritual warfare. You know, keep that in mind, that Amalek is heavy on the left side, right? The left-hand side, where they're casting spells out, vibrations, frequencies, whatever they can, you know, get you with. They're gonna throw it out there. Okay? Going back to that Genesis, before we even get into this, go back to that Genesis 36. And what was we at? Verse 13. And these are the sons of Reuel, Nahath, and Zerah, Shamath, and Mizah. These were the sons of Bashamath, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Alholabamath, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife. And she bare to Esau Jeush and Jalam and Korah. These were the dukes of the sons of Esau. So dukes, keep that in mind. All right. The sons of Ephraim, the firstborn son of Esau, Duke Taman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kenaz, Duke Korah, Duke Gotham, Duke Amalek. And these are the dukes that came of Eliphaz. In the land of Edom, these were the sons of Adar. Now the land of Edom is modern day Jordan, right? It's actually Petra, right? That land and more. That's the land of Edom. Mount Seir would be located there as well. Okay, so they lived in that land. No, it's rocks. Is matter of fact, let's pull up a picture of it. Petra, Jordan. You know, this was the land that was at that point in time promised to them. But they're not keepers at home. They don't want to live in their land, right? Show it to you on a map. Jordan. Okay. And as you can see, our land, the Israelites' land, is above them. To the left, they would be down there. Now, in several accounts, when we went into the desert in Saudi Arabia under Moses, what did they do? They came down and we had to war against them. Okay? Even on our way to to go leaving Egypt and all of that, they was constantly attacking the back of the caravan, okay, unaliving the women and the children, the old ladies, the elderly. You know, that's how they move, man. They take advantage of whatever they can. Okay? So that's their land. So these dukes, now, why I'm reading this is to bring it up. Dukes are the highest ranking members of the British peerage below the monarch, typically ruling a duchy. So what's a duchy or a duchy? All right. Basically that's land. That would be, you have a castle. You know what I'm saying? You would have land and castle and all of that. Inheriting the title of being granted it by royalty. They are formally addressed as your grace and are often members of the royal family, such as the Duke of Sussex or Duke of Cornwall. You know, so these Edomites once again called themselves dukes. They brought this back. So it's you're like, oh, that's biblical. Yeah, well, what's in the Bible is real. It's still here today. You know, these individuals call themselves dukes. All right. Now, getting into this, okay, the Astor family. Now I'm starting with this one because this was the first, what you know is millionaires, all right, in America. All right, the Astor family. And they got ties in a lot, to be honest. You know, anything wicked, okay, trading wise. Now let's read a little bit of this, okay, and then we'll discuss it. This is a book by Fritz Springmeier titled "The Bloodlines of Illuminati." Okay, now this is chapter 1. Let's read a little bit. The original founder of the Astor fortune was John Jacob Astor. From 1763, 1884, that's when he lived. John Jacob Astor was born in Waldorf, Duchy of Baden, Germany. Okay, from a Ish bloodline, right? That's extremely important because these people are not our people, but they what? They take on that identity. I'll zoom in a little bit. As you can see, they take on that identity. You know, a lot of these families are what you know is small hats or right, those people across the water. Okay, so from a Ish bloodline, The Ish origins have been hidden, and quite a number of various ideas of the Ashtor's heritage have been put into circulation by the Ashtors. John Jacob Astor was a butcher in Waldorf in 1784. He came to America after a stopover in London, England. Although the story is that he came to America penniless, and that may be true, and we're going to see how that's not. He soon joined the Masonic Lodge, and within 2 to 3 years had become the master of the Holland Lodge, number 8 in New York City. This Holland Lodge is a prominent lodge in that many of its members have good connections to the elite, right? Now, Masons and I just call it Lucifer because, matter of fact, let's get that. Let's go to Isaiah, the 14th chapter, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Now, let's go to that word. Oh, Lucifer. Lucifer, what? Light bearer, okay, shining one, morning star, Lucifer, of the king of Babylon and Satan, right? Now, this is talking about what? The Edomites, man. Okay, in the sense of brightness, the morning star, Lucifer, the enlightened ones. All right, they see in the darkness. That's what they're trying to insinuate, that they have the truth, they have the understanding, they're running everything. Right? That's what they're always talking about. Now, the Masonic, the Masons, not the ones that's on surface level, right? But the ones that really know what's going on are extremely demonic. All these rituals, all these practices, all this symbology, the way that they build, and set up, it's all occult worship. All right, and that furthermore lets you know that this individual is he's on some stuff, man. The Holland Lodge is a prominent lodge in that many of its members had good connections to the elite, the Lucifer. All right, an example of just one lodge, number 8 member, is Archibald Russell. That's funny because that's another name of another powerful family, man, of an Edomite family. Okay, the Russell family, whose father was president of a real hot bed of Illuminati action for many years, the Royal Society of Edinburgh, and these secret societies which aren't so secret anymore. All right. By 1788, Astor was a master of Masonic Lodge number 8. This is rather interesting considering Astor could not speak English when he arrived in America and supposedly was very poor. John Jacob Astor was always very famous for being cold-hearted and what? Antisocial, a man who didn't have charm, wit, or grace, right? Look at this. This quote comes even from a relative of the DuPont family. That's another family that's what? Extremely powerful. And Shalawam, Yahawashi, who wrote a sympathetic biography entitled The Astor Family. So the DuPont family, the Astor family, Russell family, okay, these families, they know of each other, they're close to each other, and these are the kings of the earth. Okay, if this man lacked social graces and was so cold and was so poor during his first years in the U.S., why did he rise to such prominence in Freemasonry? This individual is the first millionaire in America. All right, John Jacob Astor. Okay, but he came here, couldn't read, couldn't speak English, but he was in 2 years he was the head mason at the lodge. Okay, it's not adding up. Certainly not because of his social graces. For instances, one time later in life, at a meal given for elites, when his hands got dirty at the table, he reached over and used the shirt of the man beside him to wipe his hands. These Edomites nasty, man. The original financial break came by carrying out a series of shady and crooked real estate deals in New York City area, right? Now let's go to Micah. because this is how they get through. This is Micah 2, 1 through 2. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, on their rest. They're resting and they're working evil. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covert fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. This man was growing in real estate, but it was shady. It was crooked, right? And that hasn't changed. That's you. These deals today, you buy a house that's worth 300,000, you're literally probably mostly gonna pay $1 million for it over time, because of the interest, which is usury. That's how Esau moves about. That's how he gets his money. He's charging taxes, he's charging interest on everything. All right. Now, let's get a little bit more of this, and then we'll go to the next tab. The next break came when two men who are now known to have been in the Illuminati gave John Jacob Astor a special government privilege. The two men were President Jefferson and Secretary Gallatin, both Illuminati members. The United States government had placed an embargo on all U.S. ships from selling with goods in 1807, but Astor got special permission from these two men for his ship to sail with its cargo. This is what we talk about being juiced in. This is what we talk about the wicked rule the earth. All right? They are free to go and come as they please. They got private airports, private jets. At this point, you can see the ships were stopped, but he still got his goods through. So smuggling, trafficking, that's nothing. What is being exposed now? All these trafficking rings, all this type of stuff that's coming out, right? It's easy to see those in power can easily turn an eye, tell the guards look the other way. You know how it go. It's bribes, all this type of stuff is going on, man. And it's nothing new under the sun, right? His ship sailed and made close to a $200,000 profit. That's in 1800. So, bro, that's what does it say? In that day's money, and I could do the math on that. It's worth $200,000 in the 1800s. Bro, that's probably like 20 million. Okay, they do have a calculator for that, but that's up there. Astor strangely profited greatly from the War of 1812, which crippled almost all the other American shippers. Astor also worked together with George Clinton, another member of the Illuminati, on land deals, even at the period in history. Let's get Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, that write grievousness which they have prescribed. This is all we seeing, where they'll say that, hey, this lane is shut, you can't travel this way. But their Edomite buddy, coming with all his Edomite buddies, they get through easily. It's not shut for them. This is privilege. Furthermore, showing you that they rule the earth. We don't rule the earth right now. What is that? Let's get it. It's sovereignty, man. Okay? Sovereignty is the supreme independent authority of a state to govern itself, establish laws, and manage internal, external affairs without external interference. It is characterized by absolute legal control within a territory. What did we say the Dukes? What? The Dukes got duchies. They ruled territories. They had castles. They had sovereignty in the land. They had peasants. They had slaves. They were the authority of the land. So that's what these Edomites have always been put into in these positions of power when they rule, which is they're ruling right now. All right, they've been ruling heavy since what? About the 1400s, 1300s. All right. It is characterized by absolute legal control within a territory, originating from the Prince of Westphalia. Key types include internal control over citizens and external independence from foreign powers, legal, de jure right to rule, and political actual power. For this man DJT to issue a decree on the Iranian government, he has sovereignty on them. He's basically saying, you don't do what I say, then it's going to be problems. It's repercussions. You have actions. You have things to pay for. You don't rule the earth. That's basically what he's saying to them. Now, we're going to see, Russia get involved, Yahawah very soon, you know. But Esau is expressing his sovereignty as he always has expressed it. Right? Brother got a precept, Psalm 73, 3-8. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men. It's perfectly what we just stated, man. You know, they get in the past. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They have all the resources. That's the what? That's the fatness of the earth. Okay? They are corrupt and speak wickedly. Concerning oppression, they speak lawfully. You know, let's get that word lawfully. And it means height, proudly, of nobles, like a duke, right? Attitude, extraptly, figuratively, elation, right? Far above, dignity, haughty, right? And the Most High hates a haughty individual. So they speak high, they speak proudful, right? And that's how these Edomites speak, man. You talk to an Edomite and watch how he talk to you, okay? Because they think that they are something. They know in their spirit that this is their kingdom right now, you know? They know it. But they also know, they can see it, they can tell that their kingdom is falling. Now, these elites, those in the, Illuminati and all that, they don't want to accept it, right? I get a little bit more of that the brother put. They set their mouth against the hearers, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. And they say, how doeth Yahawah know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world. They increase in riches. They never considered that Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi is real, and they're wondering, how does he know everything that they're doing? That's why they have secret societies. They do these things in secret, thinking that they're covering it and hiding it from the Most High. Right? What do they say? They say in Psalm 64, who shall see them? You know? Well, guess what? Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi does see you. He sees everything. You know? It's nothing happening that he's not gonna see, and that he's not gonna bring a judgment for. Okay? So they have sovereignty, man. You know, let's keep it going. Let's get a little bit more of this. As you can see, 1807, Astor was getting money. All right, the War of 1812, Astor was getting money. When everybody else was losing, the Astor family was getting money. Okay, this is how he became the first millionaire of America with his Edomite friends. Right? So from the War of 1812, he profited greatly, which crippled almost all the other American shippers. Everybody else is losing their money, but you still balling. What happened in 2020? 2021, 2022? What happened with Amazon, FedEx? What happened with Elon, Tesla, all these companies? Bro, they quadrupled their worth. Everybody else losing. All small businesses is being shut down, but the corporations are balling. Right? Balling. So this is common practice. They're insiders. All the CEOs was leaving, was quitting. Right? Exactly. They had record profits. to the point now where Elon Musk is about to be a trillionaire on paper. I mean, you got Edomites that are trillionaires that you don't know about. You don't know their names, you know? And the Astor family is one of those families, okay? They are trillionaires, all right? So what we saying is these situations like the War of 1812, these are orchestrated things, man. And the Edomites come through these things making more money. Who funds wars? That should be a main question. All right, that'll be like maybe part 3 or part 4. The family that funds wars. It's these banking families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the J.P. Morgan and them. You know, that's how the Morgan family came up, funding wars. I'm gonna fund the losing side and the winning side. Right? All right, so let's keep it going. As we said, Astor also worked together with George Clinton, another member of the Illuminati, on land deals. Even at that period in history, British intelligence worked for the Committee of 300 and for the 13 top families. It is interesting then that John Coleman, who had access as an intelligence agent to secret documents, discovered that the original John Jacob Astor was also a British secret agent. The 13 families had very intimate roles with the American and British intelligence codes. What did we say earlier? Juiced in. Juiced in. All right? It's nothing but a phone call. Okay? You got hemmed up? You unalive somebody? It's nothing but a phone call. We can get you out of jail. It's nothing but a phone call. What's that dude? Let me see. I was watching it today, man. It's some dude in with this whole Epstein mess. Let me go look it up real quick. It was on redacted. Oh, right here, right here. And engaging in criminal things on billionaire treatment. Great to see you. I'm gonna just play. I'm not gonna put it on because copyright, and I don't want to get no copyright. But I'm gonna just play it on the outside. Nice to see you all too, and thanks for having me. Yeah. This is Whitney Webb talking about this a little bit about the E thing, you know, but talking about this individual that's basically he's an Edomite and he's getting passes. So I'm gonna let this go. So it's really not, it should be pretty telling to everyone that he had Congress come to him instead of having to go to Congress. Exactly how Leslie Wexner operates. He's the richest man in Ohio. As I've documented in my books and a series of articles, he's been linked to crimes that have been covered up by the Columbus Police Department, leaving murders, among other things, unsolved to allow him to continue to engage in the impunity that he has enjoyed pretty much his, ever since he began engaging in criminal activity, which, as far as I can tell, at least goes back to at some point in the early 1980s. Leslie Wexner, okay? And just using that as an example of another Edomite getting a pass, where he's free to do whatever he wants to. He has a sovereignty. Okay? He can go as he please, leave as he please. Hey, like she said, murders was covered up. Right? You see this all the time. Murders are covered up. Right? Things of that nature. So that's what these Edomites do. Somebody get in the way, they get took out. Right? It's common practice. You know. And I ain't gonna read the rest of this, all right, but it's a good you could get this, this on the internet, all right, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. It goes into 13 bloodlines, all right, and I will be tapping into this for the next couple of lessons. But I got more on this dude that I looked into. Okay. Now, let's look into this one because they said what? They said he came to America poor. All right. And yeah, a little bit may be true, but let's read a little bit of this. Okay. John Jacob Astor was a German-born American businessman, merchant, real estate mogul, and investor. Astor made his fortune mainly in fur trade monopoly, by exporting opium into the Chinese empire and by investing in real estate in or around New York City during the late 1800s and early 19th centuries. 18th and 19th centuries. He was the first prominent member of the Astor family and the first multimillionaire in the United States. And as we just read in the book before, he got it off of shady deals, wickedness, bad practices, being a tyrant, being a bully, being a true blue Edomite. Okay. Now, the main point I wanted to focus on is the exporting about opium into the Chinese empire. Moab in those times was very isolated and secluded. They literally call Esau white devils. Okay, that's what they call Esau, white devils, right? So I watched the show a couple months ago. It's called The Blue-Eyed Samurai, and let me bring it up. You had these four Edomites that came to Japan, and they were what? They were trafficking opium. They was trafficking all type of drugs and guns into China, you know. So what he was doing, that's not is loosely based. The show is loosely based off of these individuals, certain families that were doing these things. They were making millions of dollars, man, by destroying a whole nother population. Now, who does that today? Esau is doing the same thing. All right, working side by side with the cartels. You over here pretending like you want to go to war with the cartels, but you've been funding and operating with them and letting them push and peddle your drugs for years. You know? So, but when you get done with somebody, you want to throw them to the curb. This is how Esau operates, man. All right, he'll destroy a whole nother planet. He'll go forth and stage a coup and destroy that government like a Venezuela, like a Cuba, like a Iran. Those protests was not just random. Okay? He's done this before to Libya. He's done it before to Mexico. He's done it before to major, a lot of African countries. All right? A lot of South American countries. This is his MO. Okay? Wherever he goes, man. Matter of fact, let's go to Habakkuk. This is what this devil does. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. He left Edom and traveled everywhere and took over everything. Esau is everywhere now. He's known as the border of wickedness. That's wherever he is. Now he has his footprint everywhere on this planet. He rules Africa. He rules Australia. He rules most of Asia. All right. He rules all of Europe. Okay. He rules all of North America and South America. All right. It sounds like Job 9 and 24 once again to me, that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Who is the wicked? The target is on him. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death and cannot be satisfied. He's insatiable. He could take over the whole planet. He still wouldn't be satisfied. He could run his enterprise, MOTB everywhere, robots everywhere, martial law. He's tracking your vitals. He could do all of that. He's still not going to be satisfied, man. All right? He's insatiable, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him? The nations are going to what? They're going to hate him. The brother just put the precept. Revelations 11 and 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servant, the prophets, and, all right, let me go get the rest of it. Revelations 11 and 18. And to the saints and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should have destroyed them which destroy the earth. So the nations are going to hate this devil. All right? And we're going to destroy those who destroy the earth, the saints, which are Israelites. And who destroys the earth? First of all, the first question is who rules the earth? Who has the ability? You have to own something to be able to destroy it. Like in that sense, all right, when we talking about the earth, so who really owns? Who's today? I saw nothing but chemtrails in the sky. Who's doing that? Right? Who's polluting the waters? Who got fluoride in every single water system? You showering in fluoride. You know, who does that to you? It ain't Jake. You know, it ain't us. Okay, it's Esau, Edom. So, and he does it everywhere. Wherever he goes, he brings death with him. Because he who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. He rules over everybody. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? We read Micah 2, 1 and 2. How long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? We just talked about usury. He charges usury upon you, and he's got so much usury upon himself. He's in debt himself. All right. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. That's why Revelations 11 and 18 is there. That's why the nations are angry. That's why everybody is turning on America. Because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe, destruction to him that coveteth, and evil covetous to his house, that he may set his rest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Right? Now, going back to it, the Astor family, all right, I'm going to click on this, the 4 white devils. These were Edomite families. You know, now this story, this show loosely did it, but it's some real, it's some facts behind this. All right. Salaki. Is it good? No, I'm gonna go back. All right. Just go to the images. Okay. So it would, and the show, you know, it shows these. If you watch the show, it's a pretty good watch. It showed these 4 Edomites coming to the land, and they were smuggling drugs, guns, anything really, all right, that they could bring in, women, whatever, you know. And the cat, the female in the video, I mean in the movie, you know, in the series, one of those dudes is her father. So she's basically hunting him down to unlock, to take him out. All right, because of how he treated her as a kid. And I don't want to spoil it because it's a good watch, but I'll just say a little bit on it. Like, she catches up to him, you know, and pretty much, man, he's on Edomite mode. He don't give a fuck about her. He tries to take her out, etc., etc. You know, he just on Edomite mode, and that's how he is. They go anywhere, they fuck anything, and they just don't care. They don't care. They have no sense of repercussions, man. You know, who is the main rapist on the earth? The Edomites. Who is your man? Who is the poster child of PDF files? The Edomites. Okay? Who does that, man? All right, brother got a precept. This is Ezekiel 25 and 13. Therefore, thus saith Yahawah power, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and I will cut off man and beast from it, and will make it desolate from Taman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. We just read about Taman, a Duke Taman, right? So this is talking about the Edomites, man. As it says, in Edom, I will stretch out and destroy man and beast. You know? And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. Those battle axes. That's talking about the elect, getting that get back. And they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury. And they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahawah power. All right. Then Isaiah 27:1. In that day, Yahawah with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent. Right. And this ain't talking about Leviathan in the ocean. This is talking about that great serpent, which is Esau Edom. All right. This devil, Satan, that dragon, man. Okay. He's compared. The piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. Okay, Esau, Edom, man. All right, so Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi is ultimately gonna bring vengeance. You know, he's gonna bring a recompense. He's gonna destroy these individuals. Okay, you got two stages of destruction. You got your kingdom being destroyed. You know, and then you got the 1,000-year reign, which is going to be followed by another 1,000-year reign, continuous, forever and ever. The saints shall take the kingdom. You know, we're going to keep it forever. All right. So, but at the end of that first 1,000-year reign, what are you going to have? You're going to have Esau's second destruction, where they've been living in the pit, they've been slaves, and then they're ultimately wiped away, eradicated. So you get to see your kingdom get destroyed, you get to burn, and then you gotta serve, and then that whole time knowing you gonna get destroyed at the end. It's ultimate. You talking about torture? They getting tormented for what they did. Y'all tormented us. So it's not an unrighteous thing in a sense. It's called indignation, righteous anger. You know. So the way that these individuals went around the world and they just raped, robbed, murdered. What did it say? They spoiled every nation. You know, we're not gonna do that, man. All right, we're gonna rule. Just gonna rule in general. Everybody is gonna be a servant. We ain't gonna have to go in. Ain't gonna be no wars. All right. So let's keep it going. You take that one out. All right. This pretty much going into the same thing we read in the bloodlines. So I'll go past that one. But I'll just point out that their bloodlines, as we say, our heritage, you know, they oppress our heritage. You can go back. You can look at all they got everything over here, man. Place of origin, okay. You can go back damn near 6, 7, 8 generations and more. You know what I'm saying? So Esau know exactly who they are, man. They got their records. That's something that Jake does not have, is your records. Okay? Now, it's a funny thing, because the father, Jacob the fourth, I'm just calling him the fourth, he was on the Titanic. Now, if brothers know about the Titanic, you had 3 major businessmen on there. I had wrote it down. Let me see, I got it right. No, not right here. I got it somewhere on here. Yeah. I might have deleted it. But basically you had 3 major, I mean you had thousands really, over 1,500 like wealthy, powerful Edomites on the ship, etc., etc. You know, and you had some major players. And one of them was of the Astor family. It was Jacob the fourth. And he went down with the ship, man. He got took out with the ship. But he had a son. He had a son that that was born afterwards. So the bloodline continued, you know, and they began to they still had power. But they didn't have they was weakened. All right. But now they're still a prominent power. So J.P. Morgan, who was behind this, and this is furthermore, I'm bringing this out just to show how one powerful family will attack another powerful family. J.P. Morgan came up with this plan he had his ship, his company. You got the company, the White Star Line. All right, let's read this. When Titanic set sail from Southampton, England, for New York City on April 10, 1912, no one, especially its builders, dreamed of its demise. The ship's owners, the White Star Line, boasted of the size and stamina of the largest passenger steamship built until that time. So, they was proud. They thought nobody could take it down, etc., etc. But J.P. Morgan was supposed to be on the ship, but he what? At the last moment, he canceled. All right. Now they had an insurance policy took out on it about $5 million. Ship was worth like 7.5, right? So when it wrecked, destroyed, he got that money, et cetera, et cetera. They spread it out amongst each other. Okay. Now these Edomites are really smart, and this is the same thing that they do today. White Star Line is hard to be connected to J.P. Morgan. Okay, it'll tell you down here, after the Titanic sank, White Star Line owner J. Bruce Ishmael, this was the front guy, faced public condemnation as a coward for surviving, damaging his reputation, etc., etc. This was the front guy. But J.P. Morgan controlled White Star Line. Okay? So you can be an owner of some shit, but you don't control it. Okay? That's the same thing with BlackRock and Vanguard. You can have your front guy. Oh, yeah, I'm the CEO of BlackRock. Yeah, I do all the invest. You're the front guy. You're the CEO of Vanguard. Who owns all that money? These devils, okay, are extremely crafty, man. Let's get that wiser. What's that in Ezekiel 28:3? Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. It's talking about the Edomites. So they set up Ponzi schemes. They set up fronts. They set up this and that, company upon company upon company. So nothing to trace back to them. They'll put it in somebody else's name. They'll do this and do that, you know what I'm saying, to make it where nothing traces back to them. Okay? And you really have to dig to really get that connection. But at the end of the day, J.P. Morgan controlled the White Star Line through his shipping trusts. These Edomites always talking about trust, bonds, stocks and bonds, etc., etc. All right? The International Mercantile Marine Company, which he formed in 1902 to monopolize transatlantic trade, as the majority shareholder of IMM Morgan owned the British line, making the American-owned British-registered Titanic a key asset in his maritime portfolio. So he owned the company that built the Titanic, right? So he profited off of that. Now, why I'm bringing all this out is because Jacob Astor the Fourth was killed on the Titanic. And what is it? Titanic sunk April 14, 1912. Okay. But what was the issue? Why did all those individuals get sunk? Why do you have a major family like the Morgan family trying to take out a major family like the Astor family? Okay, because there was a significant opposition to the proposed Federal Reserve System in 1912. Now, what's the Federal Reserve System? It's a central bank. That's all it is. It's a central bank for America. They didn't want no central bank in America. Okay, let's read a little bit more. Primarily stemming from fears of a money trust or banker's monopoly. Wow. Opposition came from progressive Democrats, rural populists, and some congressmen who believed a central bank would consolidate too much power in Wall Street. And that's what it did. What does it do? What does a central bank do? It creates inflation. All right. And let's read this one right here. Representative Charles A. Lindbergh Sr. was a prominent critic laboring the proposal an invisible government and a gigantic trust. An invisible government. Well, who do we know? We know the names of those individuals that rule that invisible government. That's another king of the earth. Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Morgans, DuPonts, these individuals. So Esau will attack Esau, how they always did. That's what the Romans always did. They would go to war. They would use somebody, go to war with them. After the war, the Romans would take out that nation. They're natural born backstabbers. You can't trust them. Let's get Malachi. Let's get Malachi 1 and 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahawah of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahawah hath indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, Yahawah will be magnified from the border of Israel. Right? They're the border of wickedness wherever they go. Wherever they go, death follows. Death comes. Okay? They're going to fight each other. Look at them right now. They're about to fight each other. They're a nation divided, man. This is Obadiah 1 and 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. You have right now, you got a consensus of everybody's thinking about it now, that this is the fall of, what they call it, the fall of white society, the fall of the white rulership. So even they don't know what to call it, Esau is the end of the world, Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. They can't go to the scriptures, but they can see it in that sense where your kingdom is falling. Everybody recognizes these kings, like the Astor family, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, DuPonts, Collins, okay? All these kings are being eventually going into slavery, man. Heavy chains, right? Brother got a precept, Revelation 6 and 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. Exactly. Right? The beast shall change their places, and you're going to have, man, you got, right now you got jaguars and stuff like that coming up, and you got wolves seen in California that ain't been seen in, like, I guess decades or so. So it's about to get real fishy out here, man. Bears, most likely, gonna be walking around, mountain lions, all that type of stuff. Yahawah gonna put these spirits created for vengeance, upon these animals and get to taking out these individuals. 2/3, okay? Edomites, whoever it be. As we read, man, we the hopeful elect, Yahawah Ratzah, we be of that number. We shall be at peace with the beast of the field. Okay, what's that, Job? We shall be at peace. So we just gotta pray and maintain, right? Psalms 149, yep. Let's get it. 6 through 9, let the high praises of Yahawah be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. Yeah, and we got that two-edged sword right now, first and foremost, through the spirit. We bringing these precepts out. We bringing this information out, and then it's gonna turn into a physical one when we turn into those battle axes. to literally chop these individuals in pieces, man. Verse 7, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with feathers of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye Yahawah. You know what I'm saying? Bahasham Yahawashi. So to execute that vengeance, to execute that, you know, to go forth. Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi is going to send his men to bring it down. All right? And hey, I pray we a part of that. You know what I'm saying? That's all we could do. All right? And make sure I make our call into the election sure. But at the end of the day, nobody, you know, you see these individuals with chosen on their name and stuff like that. That's a foolish statement. All right? Nobody knows who is who. You know? Brother got some more. All right, I get that. And then we're going to begin to wrap it up. This is Revelation 6:12 through 13. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell upon the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, and she is shaken of a mighty wind. That's talking about them ICBM missiles, you know. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island was moved out of their places. These governments, okay, these ICBM missiles is going to shake this place up. It's going to rock to and fro like a drunkard. So these governments is going to be destroyed, man. Yahawashi is that King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Right? He's going to take every single crown off of these individuals. He's going to rule. Right? And then he's going to, you know, give out power to his men. They shall be kings and priests. Revelations 1:6. All right, keeping it going, verse 15. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. And these fancy bunkers, man, they got these $1 million, $1 billion bunkers. All right, 10 stories down, 20 stories down, etc., etc. Go ahead, Esau. Have fun, man. All right? You better have all the fun you can. You know? I suggest you do that. All right? And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? We got to get to Jeremiah. Right? Jeremiah 16:16. And it reads, behold, I will send for many fishers, saith Yahawah, and they shall fish them, and after will I send for many hunters. We fishing right now. All right? But the hunt is soon. And they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. So what the brother just put in the comment board is showing you that they're going to go into the holes of the rocks, the dens. You know? They're going to go down there. They're going to hide themselves. All right? And then Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi is going to send forth his men. How we going to know where they at? Bro, we going to have them bodies. Orders is going to be sent. We already going to know. The angels do the reconnaissance. We just got to go. You know? It ain't, you're not going to lose track of no Edomite. You're not going to lose track of no slave in the kingdom. You're going to have, you think about Saiyans, like Dragon Ball Z and all that. What could they do? They could locate energy. You know, you'll be able to do that. All right? Elements, because if elements is under your control, then you'll be able to feel auras and stuff of that nature. And 10 times beyond that, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi got stuff planned for us that we can't even imagine. So if Yahawashi knew he could sense, who was it? I believe Philip under the tree. I believe it was Philip or it was Nathaniel, Salakia. All right, but he sensed the apostle under the tree. He's like, I saw you under that tree. You know, this is the type of powers, man, type of stuff we talking about. So it's Whatever we could think of is 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, 144,000 times better than that. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, let me see. Y'all got anything else on this? Oh, yeah. So back to it. Just ending it up. The Titanic was sunk on April 14, 1912. Now you had those individuals. I think. Let me see. If I go back to this article right here. Yeah. Hey, I put it down here. Okay. Astor, Strauss, and Guggenheim opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve, the nation's central bank. Okay. So they opposed it, right? But with them out of the way, because they was the major players. Now you had other little individuals that opposed it, but they didn't have as much power. As we just broke down in this live, the Astor family is one of those 13 bloodlines, man, and they still exist today. Even though Jacob Astor the Fourth was took out on the Titanic, his son existed, and he had a son, he had a son, he had a son, he had a son. You know what I'm saying? So the Titanic sunk April 14, 1912. The Federal Reserve, which is a central bank, America's central bank, was created December 23rd, 1913. All right. Now, what does it do? What does it do? What did it do? It created inflation. It allows the banking families to basically run America. What did was it Nathan Rothschild say? I don't care about the war. I don't care about that. Let me control the money. I control the people. That's why you need a central bank all over this planet. That's what they want to set up, right? That's why you got 2 aircraft carriers on the edge of Iran. That's why Cuba is being starved out. That's why Venezuela was invaded, you know, where the president was took down. That's why, okay? North Korea don't got a central bank, so keep your eye on that, you know. But we know, hey, Russia, China, they gonna get busy. All right, they ain't any better though, but they talking about actions. They talking about military action if you touch Iran. So WW3 on the fronts, man, and we can't wait, man. So hey, this has been a conclusion. Hope it was edifying. I'm gonna do this little series, Kings of the Earth. It's part 1, going into the Astor family, you know, and Yahawah Tazah, man. I do part 2 tomorrow, or it's camp tomorrow. So part 2 Sunday. All right. So hey, with that being said, giving all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well and sincerity taught us his truth. And Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect. Right. As always, Kwam Yasharahla and a Baba Ball to this wicked kingdom. May Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi destroy this bitch yesterday. If you can't see the light, you're living in darkness, man. Shalawam, shalawam.